Hi there, welcome to the third part of my fire painting tutorials. And this is the second tutorial I'm going to do on burning matches. So far I've done the upright burning match, where you can see here, because the flame starts lower down on the actual matchstick, it starts to sort of drag and become more of a point. On this one I'm going to do the side view of a burning match, and it is also going to be a partially sort of burnt match, sort of halfway down. Again, this is just a rough sketch of a match. The match is not the important thing of this tutorial, it's more focused in on the actual flame itself. Now, the reason that I'm showing you a kind of part burn match is that the flame would look pretty much the same as one of my earlier tutorials, which is to do the candle flame, where a burning wick creates a very neat sort of smooth point at the top, and it's a very nice sort of ovally shape really. And just to demonstrate that, I've actually imported the candle flame into this tutorial, and it's still got the wick on it there, and it's not quite shaped around the matchstick, and it doesn't fit this because it is already burnt up to this point. But if it was a brand new matchstick and it only just ignited, then it would be probably okay just to take the idea of that earlier shape that I showed you on the candle flame and just sort of repurpose it like that. And that would do if I was only wanting to show you the sort of the end of the match burning. But what I'm interested to show you is how it will change as it sort of burns along the matchstick. So I'm going to just hide that layer, and I'm going to start showing you how to do the flame according to this sort of arrangement. Now, the colours that I'm going to use are pretty much the same as the colours I've used here. So I've already got the Matchstick Flame sort of palette or colour swatch available, and for the most part I'm going to use very similar sort of starting points from the colour. Now, it's not to say that they will remain exactly the same as those colours. I may tweak it, like, you know, here and there, but generally speaking, they're the kind of colours that I will actually use. So, as I explained on the previous tutorial, you tend to get quite a lot of blue at the bottom of the burning match, and also the candle flame, so there will be some blue colours that creep in first. Now I'm just going to zoom in here. We're going to focus just on this one today. I might move it slightly down so we've got a bit more space at the top, like so. And again, just like I have done with the last couple of tutorials, I'm going to use a soft airbrush because I want it to be kind of smooth transitions, nothing too textured. I want it to look very sort of gradual in the way that it transitions from one colour to the next. So the first colours I will be using will be the blue, and it is the kind of deepest blue. As I explained before, it's right into the deep. It's not quite indigo, it's not up into the purpley areas, but it's a pretty deep, strong blue. The other blues that I'll be using will be probably like a lighter version of that, and then a much sort of greenier version as well, almost into the sort of aquamarine kind of colours. I've got a kind of primary red, a primary orange, a kind of, well, it's not primary yellow, it's a slightly more orangey version of yellow, and then I've got a really light version of that as well, slightly more into the real lemon yellows. And then I don't know whether this picks up on camera very well, but it's sort of between the pink and the purple. It's slightly more pink than purple, and then a really deep red, so a bit more into the sort of scarlet kind of colours rather than primary red. But anyway, I'm beginning with the blue, and I'm going to be putting the blue at its richest around the sort of bottom of the flame. So I might even move it along a bit. So I have this section so it's already slightly burnt out, and move the flame into this sort of area. But again, the blue section is going to be towards the beginning of wherever the flame is actually taking place. So I want to make sure that the brush size is up slightly and the opacity is way down. Like I explained in the previous tutorials, I do not want to go overboard with this. Need to make sure I create a layer for this, silly. Yeah, okay, so I've created the layer. I want to build this up very gradually. If I don't do it very gradually, you'll see every single brush mark and it just won't look good. So, as I explained previous, whenever it's burnt down to a certain point, that is where the flame begins. There's no point having it only starting here when it's clearly been burnt out already, so it's all the way down here, and that's where the kind of fuel for the fire is coming from now. It's coming from the unburnt wood, and that's where the blue part of the flame actually starts. So on the other one, it started from either side, and it still starts from either side. It just so happens that now it's above and below. just like I've done previously, I feel like it needs a slightly more intense version towards the edge, like here, so it's sort of contained within. In fact, that's a bit too textured. I see the lines a bit too clearly, so I'm going to turn the opacity right down and just go over it, just to make it slightly more gradual as I have done on the other ones. And same on this side, and probably the same underneath as well. And I'm tempted to make the line slightly more irregular at the bottom than it has been. If you look back to the original sort of candle wick flame, then it's a very neat shape, whereas as flames tend to move along and get more established, they start to change shape and become less uniform. So I might take it up and just establish where the rest of the flame is going to go. So maybe something like this. Maybe just then up and off. I may do a sort of dragging, like I've done with this one, bringing it to a slight point in areas as well. Okay, now the next sort of colours I might consider using is the kind of orangey red that I've got here. I suppose it's split like a primary red, but it's the effect of it, generally speaking, will be slightly more to the orange side, because when I start adding orange to it, it's going to affect it. Again, create another layer. So easy to get carried away and not remember the layers. So here you go, here's the layer. Very important to get this, otherwise you'll kick yourself later when you suddenly find you've done all the work on one layer and you want to change something on a particular layer and you can't do. So you just need to try and remember as you go along. Not always easy to do, but you have to do your best. So as we go higher up, the orange will overtake the blue. And I guess that's when you start to get some of the sort of the pinky purples coming in. I do actually have it as a colour to select, but you'll notice when the blue and the red obviously merge and they start to get some of the kind of pinky colours coming in there anyway. Now I'm going to create another layer, and this layer I'm going to be working more towards the oranges on this side, so I'm going to get even stronger into the oranges. I don't want to bring it down into this area because I feel like the orange is going to start at the sides and then fill up this upper area more, and probably even then you won't see it because I'm going to go over it with the yellows, but it shouldn't encroach too much on this area. The colours that's going to be filling this sort of main bottom area are going to be the blue, but also the kind of really kind of whitey yellows. So I'm just going to start another layer. I'm going to build up onto this now and add some more yellow. I'm not going to take it right up to the top. I feel like that upper area is going to be where the orange is, but I do need to start brightening up this whole upper bit. This is where most of the light of the flame is going to be. Now I can always go back over this, and I'm doing it gradually anyway, but I can always go back over this with the smudge tool or even the sort of Gaussian blur tool, but I'd like to just try and get it fairly smooth to begin with, and I won't have too much of that work to do afterwards. Better to draw it right rather than having to use or rely upon tools to fix your drawing because it's not right. Now, because as I explained in the last tutorial, the flame is 3D, and because we get like an irregular burning of the flame, we may get an intense sort of light spot that encroaches into more of the main part here and actually would burn on both sides like this. So I'm just going to give maybe a sense of that. I'm going to test that one out, get some of the intense sort of yellows coming in here. And looking at it, I feel like the yellows are too strong, so I think I need to not work any more onto the yellow. I need to start adding more of the white yellow into it. So create a new layer. I need to get rid of some of this yellowness. I may even subdue that whole yellow layer. I'm not satisfied with that strength of that yellow. If you look at some of the other layers, there is some yellow there, but it's mainly a sort of white appearance there, and I think it's that really kind of white yellow and the blue that contrast well together, and it's the kind of signature of a lot of flames and the way that fire looks. And it's only really when you start adding those colours together that you start to get the overall effect. So I feel like this particular colour is going to come quite lower down into this area. Maybe a bit more intense here, even turn the strength up. Should be really fiery, really bright section here perhaps. Yeah, I think it's starting to make a bit more sense now with the white yellow. I'm not quite happy with it yet though, so I'm going to keep working. Maybe in this area what we need, I didn't use a lot of it in the last video, but you need, I don't know whether it even shows up on camera here, maybe this is so bright on camera that you can't really distinguish between what I'm about to add to it next, but you can definitely see the difference when you're actually looking at it on the iPad first hand. But it's important to get like the whitest areas really as bright as you can. It's a strong light source at the end of the day. Fire, it's not yellow at its whitest, it is white. Some intense white coming all the way in this area. So I didn't create a new layer there, and really I'm trying to just whiten up the yellow white area. Not being too hesitant with this, I'm just trying to go through it a little bit. I may even decide, because it's a real edge here, I'm going to give it a sharper edge to the flame. Extend it over here as well. And feed it into the rest. Reduce the brush size, increase the opacity, and that way I can really concentrate on getting a sharper edge on the flame. There's going to be a lot of areas that would not have a sharp edge like that, but then sometimes you do want it to have a clear, definite edge, so you just got to find the right balance. Okay, I feel like I'm going to go back to the orange layer here. Now I did say I didn't want too much orange, but sometimes you just got to look at what you're producing, and then I feel like a degree or so of extra warmth in there would not do it any harm. I can always pull it back afterwards anyway, but useful to have a little bit more in there, just to soften the edges a little bit so the transition's there, and then towards the edge of it as it goes up, maybe at the bottom there, like that. Now the actual match itself, as I showed you on the other one, would have sort of glowing areas and actually have the light hitting it as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new layer, and I'm going to put it under all the other layers so that anything I add to it is going to be behind the actual flames and not sort of dominate over the top and look strange. But I'm going to go into the sort of glowing red colours now. Now it's going to have been very hot. In this area it's going to be well established, the burning of the match. So we really want there to be sections that red hot. Maybe just a tiny bit in here as well. But this is the bit that's been sort of glowing and burning the most. The end of it is probably going to be burnt out, but there will be a sort of midsection perhaps where you're going to have the most heat. That, and another factor that you will also get is a kind of an area where, in fact, I'm going to go to the yellows and I'm going to go to the sort of grey yellow area, and again I'm going to reduce the size of the brush the opacity way down, but this is the area where it's going to be the actual flame reflecting on the, and perhaps also light in the room perhaps, or wherever the setting is. Will be, I'm only doing this very gradually, I'm adding sort of texture to it. And you will also get some more texture in here as well, especially seeing because it's right inside the flame, so you're going to get some light from the flame itself coming down onto the candle, the matchstick rather. I get my tutorials mixed up. If anyone that's watched my lava tutorial, you'll see there's definitely some similarities in the way that different, or rather, you know, the elements behave in different environments. So the lava and burning wood and embers, there definitely tend to be some similarity in the way that you would go about creating those effects. I might just intensify this. Maybe get a bit more towards the light side. I want to match some of that light in just in areas. So I'm going to turn the brush size down. I really just want to sharpen up the odd detail here and there. Not too much, just to give the sense that it really is affecting it there, especially on that sort of edge. Maybe here too. And I guess also because you've got a light source here as well as from above, you might find there's light coming at it here too. You want to be careful. I think that sometimes you can get the effect, I've done too much there, exactly what I'm trying to explain. You can go overboard with the impact that things can have, and you just need to suggest it sometimes, and the eye can sort of understand without you having to hammer home the point really. So the brain sort of can look at something and believe it without necessarily observing the things that make it believable. Again, I'm not happy with that. So it's exactly what I'm saying, you don't want to overkill it. So I'm going to go back and I want to increase the brush size and maybe just create a general sense of lighten up that area. It's maybe a bit more subdued than I was doing, so not quite so bright. But there. I have to maybe get the eraser, get rid of some of that. And maybe I can just have a slight right along the bottom. Like that. That seems to make more sense. A little bit like I may prefer this edge to be more about the bright red, so I don't want it to reflect too much. I want it to be bright, like a crisp line along this edge of red. Feels like it has a need to be more that than. So the light of the red is too intense to reflect back the light there. I feel a bit better about that now, and I might just do the same here. So I guess when something gets red hot, you're not going to see too much reflection of light back because it's emanating its own light more, like that. Now I feel like just like I did previously with this one, where you would find that the effect of the flame would submerge the matchstick more, feel like this one is definitely in need of some of that. So I can go back across the layers and decide which of the colours I want to start submerging the matchstick in with. So I think in terms of the white, yellow, not the white itself but the white yellow, I need to perhaps go over the in front of the match a little bit and just have its impact on the matchstick, being that it kind of buries it in that general area a little bit more. So it just gives it a sense of slightly more depth on the inside, and probably a little bit here as well. I think another factor I need to neaten up is the blue. I'm generally happy with the shape, and it's changed slightly from the beginning. I need to perhaps just turn the size of the brush down. I need to just sort of sneak it in around the edge a little bit more. I'll follow the shape of it there. And just a cheeky little bit there at the side. A bit more here. Maybe fill in. Because again, this is where the flame is starting, so maybe the blue should be wrapping around just at this area a little bit more than I have done. Maybe even a slight bit there as well. Again, we're talking subtlety here, you don't want to overdo it. Now, another option I have is the kind of aqua blue. In fact, before I do that, I'm going to use the light blue, and I'm just going to create a slightly more intense lighter area here. So I want to turn the brush size right down, so I want to get a kind of sharp, just a slightly more intense edge in here, if you can see it. Slightly more intense there. Maybe a bit more there as well. And now I feel like when I do go to the sort of aqua blue, and I think I will actually do this on a new layer as well above it. I want this slightly hazier, I don't want it to be quite so precise. I can just, if that's too much, hardly on anything, but it's still too much, so I'm going to do it as 1% and just have it sneaking in at the sides a little bit here. So you hear me tapping away, it's because I'm having to apply the pressure a lot of times in order to have any impact at all, but I prefer to do that than do too intense. Raise some of it here, just knock it back slightly. So it's there, but it's not massive, the impact of it. Now I'm going to go to a new layer again, and I'm going to go back to the sort of pinky purpley colours, and I feel like it could be a bit more. Let's just check where its position is. So it's under all the lighter colours, the red, the orange, the yellow and the white. It's underneath all of those, so I want it to be having it an effect but not dominating anything else either. So I'm just a slight feel of it up there, not much. Now I'm happy enough with this. This matchstick is rough, I'm not really looking to improve that. I could refine it, but I'm not interested for the sake of this video. But I do feel like that upper end of the flame is a little bit on the rough side, so I think what I'll do is I'll go to the red first. I'll go on the smudge tool, I'll turn it up, turn the opacity down, and I just want to just drag it up a little bit. I might even go off the edge of the picture here, so I guess it would have been perhaps clever to have considered how tall I wanted to make this a bit more accurately before I started it, but you know, that's the way things go. If I hadn't have been pre-drawing all of these, I probably would have moved that to the centre, and I would have done that and given myself plenty of room, but anyway, it is what it is. I could probably fix that, and I can maybe show you how to fix that in a moment. I think the one with the biggest impact here is the white. So let's turn the right up. In fact, let's do the opposite. Let's push it down. Let's get rid of the white at the top, most of the area. Let's even erase it. I don't want it there. Get rid of its impact there, and that feels a bit better. So you've got more of a, maybe a softer edge with the white, so it kind of curves in the upper area, and then you get some spikes of the warm colours. That looks a little bit better. Now with fire, it does behave in its own way, and it changes all the time. There's no one way of doing it, so it's a little bit trial and error. The more you look at it, the more you'll get a sense of what can work and what does work, and then other times what really doesn't work. So if I really wanted to, and I was bothered about this, then I guess that what I could do, I'm going to undo this though, once I've finished it. I'm just showing you in terms of how you would fix that. So you can merge all the layers. I could then select the area that I wanted. I could then choose this tool, and I could move it down, and then I could go back to the smudge tool, and it's all on one layer now, so it's going to affect everything. So I don't feel like I would do this at this point, but you can see the point I'm making there. So I could easily change it. I'm going to undo everything I've just done now there, because I want to keep it as separate layers. The reason I want to keep it as separate layers is that I'm offering on my Patreon page, for those people that are very generously supporting me, and I've had quite a few people pledging support to me over at that site, which is amazing. Just undo those things. So what I'm going to do is make the full version of this painting in all its layers available for people that are actually pledging there. I'm also providing the full HD downloads, so I may do a little bit of tinkering on the matchstick before I make that available as a full HD download for those people over at Patreon. Just to give you a slightly clearer view here, I've turned the brightness down of the screen. I realised after rewatching the video perhaps you couldn't see every single detail as clearly, because maybe the brightness of the iPad screen was obliterating some of the subtler details here. But so in the future fire tutorials, I'm going to perhaps film them with a more subdued screen brightness on there. You live and learn. It was up here, I guess, and I think perhaps it bleaches out too much. I mean, the effect is still quite nice, obviously, but then just to turn it way down, perhaps you can see some more of the actual subtleties that I have actually put in here. I've also noticed there's been quite a few people attempting my tutorials and posting them on YouTube, which is fantastic. I really encourage that. If you look through my playlist, there is actually the playlist of my liked videos. Now anyone that mentions me in a tutorial, puts a link to my videos and has a go at my tutorials, I'm going to go and watch their video, like their video, and probably give them some feedback as well. So I'd really like to encourage people to have a go at the tutorials that I'm doing here, post them on YouTube, and I'm able to find it if you actually reference me on the video better as well in the title, or create a link to my actual tutorials. Helps me out, and hopefully will get you a bit more exposure as well for the work that you're doing. But otherwise I'm quite satisfied with that for the moment. There will be the next one, I'll do a sort of angled one. It's going to be taking on some similar elements, but you can see there has been a difference in approach to that one than there has this one. There's definitely some subtle differences, and they are worthy of note at this point. And this one will be sort of a merger between the two, but again, it's worth just observing it a little more closely to, get a feel for how exactly this will work. If you've liked this tutorial, please subscribe to my channel, have a look at my other videos. The more you watch my videos and the more support I get, the more I'm going to be able to do more of this type of content. Like I say, this is the third fire tutorial I've done. So I've done a candle flame, the first upright matchstick, and now the side view of the matchstick, and I intend to do lots more. So keep a lookout for my other videos, and I hope to see you back here again.